All right, let's talk about a way to completely flip your financial situation. I'm talking about a totally legal but kind of secret path to getting out of debt and making some serious life-changing money. It's probably something you've never, ever considered.
I mean, who doesn't, right? So many of us are just looking for that one break, that chance to wipe the slate clean and finally get ahead. But how do you actually do it without waiting decades? Well, today we're unpacking a pretty wild solution.
And get this, we're not talking about some tech startup that needs a ton of cash or a job that requires a fancy 4-year degree. The opportunity we're diving into today, it skips right past all those usual roadblocks to making a high income.
Yep, you heard that right. The secret is hiding in plain sight, in the ultra-glamorous world of super yachts. You know, those floating five-star hotels for the super rich. It seems like a whole other universe, but for the people in the know, it's a very real and very lucrative career. And today, we're letting you in on it.
Okay, so how does this actually work? Let's bring this whole glamorous dream down to earth for a second. We're going to start local in a place like Phuket, Thailand, just to see what the cash flow looks like when you're just getting started.
So right off the bat, for an entry-level job, think deckhand or junior steward, you're looking at a monthly salary between 30,000 and over 100,000 Thai baht. Now that's already a pretty solid income. But honestly, that's not even the main event.
And that's the key thing you got to understand here. The salary, that's just your base. The real game changer, the thing that launches your earnings into a totally different stratosphere, is the tips.
Take a look at this number, 60,000 baht. Just imagine that hitting your bank account. You might be thinking, wow, that's a fantastic month of tips. But you'd be wrong.
That's 60 grand. That's from one single trip that was only 7 days long. Yeah. Depending on the boat, the guests, and your own charm, you could literally make your entire month's salary all over again in just 1 week. This is how you stack cash, and fast.
Okay, so the local scene is already pretty impressive. But what happens when you decide to go big? Let's scale this up and see what it looks like when you jump from the local charters to the international super yacht circuit, because this is where it really becomes a dream job.
First off, the base pay takes a huge leap. On the international boats, you're starting at around 1.5 to 5,000 US dollars a month. And I gotta say it again, that's just your starting salary before we even talk about the tips. And on the global scene, the tips are, well, they're legendary. It's a completely different ballgame. We're talking about crew members walking away from a single charter with the equivalent of 500,000 baht, just in tips. That is life-changing money. So you're making incredible money. That's part one. But here's the other half of the magic formula, and honestly, it might be the most powerful part of this whole thing: what you don't spend. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? When you're living and working on a super yacht, your cost of living basically drops to zero. So what does that really mean in practice? It means everything is paid for, and I mean everything. Your uniforms, all your toiletries, from toothpaste to tampons to shampoo, even your vitamins, snacks, beer, wine, chocolate. You name it, the yacht buys it. You pretty much stop spending money. Your entire salary and every single dollar in tips becomes pure savings. You end up in this amazing reality where debt just isn't a thing anymore. You buy what you need with cash, you can send huge amounts of money home to your family, buy a house, invest, all without the financial stress that most people live with every single day. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This sounds incredible, maybe even too good to be true. So that leads to the million-dollar question. How do you actually get into this exclusive world? What does it take? Well, the absolute number one non-negotiable requirement is your English. And we're not just talking yes, no, hello. You have to be able to communicate clearly, professionally, and confidently. This is a high-end service industry, so being able to hold a proper conversation is everything. So solid English is step one. But what else do you need? What are the certifications? The tricks to getting your first job? Well, we're going to spill all of that tea in the next episode, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that, darling.